We did not always eye to eye. Dwight Howard hilariously squashes beef with Shaquille O'Neal at Hall of Fame ceremony. 4 years, Dwight Howard and Shaquille O'Neal were at odds in one of the NBA's most peculiar superstar feuds. Both dominant centers, both former Lakers, and both multi-time Defensive Player of the Year candidates, their careers were often compared, and the rivalry occasionally turned personal. But on Saturday night, as Dwight Howard was officially enshrined into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, the two larger-than-life figures finally put their differences behind them in a way that was both heartfelt and humorous. Howard, who captured an NBA championship with the Los Angeles Lakers in 2020 and established himself as one of the premier big men of his generation, took the stage with Shaq by his side. The gesture itself was symbolic, given their history of public spats. During his speech, Howard acknowledged the feud head-on, framing it not as hostility but as something more like family tension. "We did not always see eye to eye," Howard said with a smile, addressing Shaq directly. "But at the end of the day, it was always a sibling rivalry." With that line, the crowd erupted, as Howard officially closed the book on one of the NBA's longest-running storylines. Shaq's tribute in style. If Howard's words weren't enough to signal reconciliation, O'Neal's presence made it undeniable. The Lakers legend didn't just escort Howard, he went a step further by making a bold fashion statement. Shaq showed up in a floral print suit, explaining later that it was his way of giving his flowers to Howard on his Hall of Fame night. Speaking on NBA TV alongside Dennis Scott, O'Neal elaborated that he had never harbored genuine ill will toward Howard, despite the media often fanning the flames of their rivalry. "I never disliked Dwight," Shaq said. "He did his thing, and I did mine. Tonight is about celebrating what he's done for the game." The visual of the two big men laughing and embracing on stage was a stark contrast to the years of playful jabs, social media digs, and occasional tension that once defined their relationship. From throwing hands to throwing jokes, the reconciliation is even more striking when looking back just a few months. Earlier this year, Howard appeared on the God Show podcast and jokingly suggested that he and Shaq should throw hands to finally settle their differences. While the comment was light-hearted, it underscored the perception that their feud had lingered for over a decade. The roots of their rivalry trace back to Howard's rise with the Orlando Magic in the late 2000s. As Howard adopted the nickname Superman, a moniker long associated with O'Neal, Shaq openly criticized him for borrowing too heavily from his persona. Their paths later crossed in Los Angeles, where Howard was compared unfavorably to Shaq's legendary tenure with the Lakers. That tension fueled years of back-and-forth remarks, with Shaq often questioning Howard's dominance and Howard firing back with defensive retorts. But on Saturday, all of that history seemed to melt away. Howard's decision to publicly address the rivalry, and to do so with humor, allowed both men to finally move forward. A night of respect and closure. For Howard, being honored with basketball's highest individual accolade was already a career-defining moment. Adding Shaq's presence and support only made it more special. The former 3-time Defensive Player of the Year and 8-time All-Star used his platform to show gratitude, not only to his peers and family but also to a former rival who had shaped much of his narrative. Shaq's gesture, meanwhile, highlighted a softer side to the Hall of Famer often known for his brash personality. By showing up in person, wearing a symbolic suit, and joining Howard in laughter, O'Neal demonstrated that time and perspective can heal even the most public sports feuds. More than just a reconciliation. The sight of Howard and Shaq sharing the spotlight was more than just a personal reconciliation. It was also a reminder of the shared fraternity of NBA greats. Rivalries may define eras, but respect ultimately endures. For fans, the moment provided closure to a storyline that once divided opinions. For Howard, it capped off a Hall of Fame night that will be remembered not just for his induction, but for the joy of squashing beef with one of the game's most iconic figures. In the end, what once seemed like animosity turned out to be nothing more than the competitive spirit of two dominant big men. On Saturday, that spirit gave way to smiles, laughter, and flowers, literally and figuratively.